This time on the crazy world of CEX, we are visiting one of the newest CEX stores in the whole of the UK. Then, hiding in this next store is one of the most expensive games that CEX sell. And in our final store, we find pot plants? Welcome to my continuing mission to visit every CEX store in the entire world. From the weird to the wonderful, the big to the small, I am here to visit them all. This is the crazy world of CEX. Hello again folks, and welcome back to the crazy world of CEX, my continuing challenge to try and visit every single CEX store in the entire world. And so far in this series we have visited over 30 CEX stores all around the UK, and this time we are visiting 3 brand new stores. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. And if you've ever missed a single episode of the crazy world of CEX, fear not, I'm going to link them all down below in a playlist. The first CEX store we are visiting this time on the crazy world of CEX is one of the UK's newest CEX stores. The last time I visited St Edmunds, this was in fact a game store, so this has been here for less than a year. And I am jumping straight into the PlayStation 5 section, as I went online and checked the CEX stock app, and it looks like they have some absolutely banging PS5 deals in this specific store. So I had my eyes on 2 games for the PlayStation 5, which, compared to their prices on other retailers, are super cheap. The first one is this one, Warhammer 40k Shooters, Blood and Teeth. Now the Amazon price for this is much higher, but I wanted to pick this or Trek to Yumi up. The problem is, this game should come with an art book and in a slipcase, so out of the 2 I did decide to go for Blood, Shooters and Teeth. I'd got very excited and jumped straight into the PlayStation 5 section, so I thought I'd take myself back outside and check out the window display of this, one of the newest CEX stores in the country. Yes, it has Paper Mario, one of those mini arcade machines, even Donkey Konga box, but more impressively, one of the best examples I've ever seen of a boxed PlayStation 1. There was some really quality retro in this CEX store, but I was not prepared for the glass window of dreams. Mobile phones, usual, a lot of laptops, the kind of stuff we expect. Nearly a complete set of Pokemon games here. That's very impressive. Lots of Switches. This front glass cabinet of dreams was incredible. We're talking high-end GameCube games, handheld, a 32X game. How often do you see them? Loads of loose cartridges like N64, SNES, Game Boy. So many quality and clean loose cartridges. Loads of box retro, Mega Drive, Master System, PlayStation 1. Absolutely stacks of high quality. This is the thing, these were not just filler titles, there was high quality and fantastic condition retro, but nothing prepared me for this. Not only a boxed SNES in incredible condition, not the best condition N64, but one of the best fantastic N64s, and also to complete the trilogy, an NES and even a Master System. One of the best glass cabinets of dreams I have ever seen. And this isn't the biggest CEX store we have ever visited by a long shot, but so far it seemed it was definitely quality over quantity, even though they did have a massive selection of games to go through. And I decided today I'm going to have a good deep dive into the Xbox 360 section. It is a section which is getting smaller and smaller, so let's hope we can find some gems which I need to add to the collection. Let's jump into the Xbox 360 section, and straight away I caught this game, Anarchy Reigns. If you haven't played this game, I would probably say this is a hidden gem. It's kind of like an arena, high score, murder kind of game. It's pretty cool, and for £2 it's worth checking out. And there's just so many hidden gems and like games that not enough people talk about on the Xbox 360. And I've said it a million times by now, now is the best time to buy for the Xbox 360. This is the cheapest these games are going to be, and the price will only go up for games such as this, The Hulk. This is a great little sandbox game, and I do kind of regret not picking this one up, as it's pretty cheap at the moment. But that's the thing, a lot of these games are cheap at the moment. It's some of these rarer games like Legends of Troy Troy, which is only £4 at the minute. It may not look in the video, this one was a little bit rough, but I did pass it up. The Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 had so many of these good third-person action adventure games, and I wanted to pick this game up as I've never seen it before, Velvet Assassin, and the description alone sold it for me. Essentially, you're an assassin killing Nazis in World War II in a glorified action adventure game, which looks gruesome as hell, and definitely don't want to pass it up. I did have a quick peruse of the PlayStation 4 section and found a very funny, cheap trilogy of games. So here we have this game here, Big Pharma, which is about £4. Quite impressive box. You know, I don't really know what special extras you get with that game, but £4 isn't bad, but I've heard the game isn't great. Next we have Contra Rogue Corps, which again, I haven't exactly heard good things about, but it is a cheap game. And finally, a game which many people advised me against buying, Crash Dummies, for again £4. One final thought in the PlayStation 4 section. I thought this game was an Amazon exclusive, but I guess CEX will take it as trading. But let me know, was this Death Stranding Amazon exclusive? So as you can see, the shelves here in Bury St Edmunds are absolutely stacked, but things are always changing in CEX, and one of the shelves which is getting less stacked, and I'm seeing less and less games, is the Nintendo 3DS. And this has definitely changed since Nintendo closed the digital store for the Nintendo 3DS and to some extent the Wii U. And I'm definitely seeing less and less 3DS games in every CEX store I visit. And I think this is only going to get worse in years to come. And unfortunately, I think 3DS prices will get higher and higher. I really feel like I missed the boat collecting a lot of these games while they were cheap, but let me know your thoughts on a future 2DS in the comments. One last thing before we leave Bury St Edmunds CEX. I've never seen this section before in CEX, an adult section. Now, I'm not searching for any of those titles, I'll let you do that yourself, but let me know if you have ever seen that section in a CEX store before, and also if this is the newest CEX store in the UK. This opened early in 2023, but let me know if there's a newer one in your area. Now, let's head to the next store on the crazy world of CEX. Next up, we're off to Harlow, and this is a small CEX store on the high street, and unbeknownst to me, we are about to see one of the craziest things we have ever seen here on the crazy world of CEX. So, some great stuff in the window straight off the bat. Mario Party 3, this Pokemon N64, even Smash Bros for the Nintendo 64. Some really nice Game Gear games here. A lot of Game Boys in this store. Some Mega CD games, including Sonic CD, a game that is very high on my want list at the moment, but unfortunately, I did have to pass today. But on the topic of the Mega CD, here we have the third most expensive game in stock in CEX at the moment. It's not Castlevania Chronicles, it is Snatcher for the Mega CD with a eye-watering price tag of £525. This is surely one of the craziest things we've ever seen in CEX. Couple of D&D books here. Again, I was tempted by these, but these two have been put together in a compilation on Amazon. So heading inside, as you can see, we have a very large glass cabinet, lots of shelves. Let's dive in, get hunting in Harlow for the crazy world of CEX. Now, this is something I don't think I've seen before. OG Xbox games in a glass cabinet of dreams, and there's nothing really here that commands a massively high price tag. Not really sure why these are in a glass cabinet of dreams, but I'm always looking to expand my OG Xbox collection, and spoiler alert, I did pick one of these games up, so see if you can guess down in the comments which one it was. It wasn't a heavy hit or anything, but these games are getting harder and harder to find, and I love building my OG Xbox collection, especially because you can get some of these games for such a cheap price, and there's some absolute bangers on that console. Again, the GameCube games in here were in the glass cabinet of dreams. This is slightly more understandable, I think, because a lot of these games hold a bit more value, but still fairly surprising. There was a nice little selection of PlayStation 1 games in here as well. Sadly, nothing I needed for the PlayStation Platinum project. I think there's about 2 left in CEX in stock that I need now for that project. Even more Mega CD games. I don't think I've ever been to a CEX store with this many Mega CD games, and even more N64 stuff, including some more boxed N64 stuff, and some of the cleanest Game Boy boxed games I've ever seen. The retro in here was of such a high standard, and when you visit CEX, it's the standard of quality in retro like this that you love to see. I was very tempted to pick up R-Type for the Master System because I love that game, but unfortunately it was missing the manual, so I did pass. And here we have it, just to finish off the retro, and N64. Harlow had a surprisingly good PlayStation 3 section, including some games that I don't see very often, games such as Battleship. Yes, it's a terrible movie, but does that mean it's a terrible game? I did pass because I'm kind of presuming, maybe wrongly, that this game is terrible, but if it is good, let me know in the comments down below. Heading down here, and you see like a lot of these games fairly often, but here's one you do not see very often. You see The Godfather 2, but not this version of the original Godfather game, the Don's edition. And this is one which is definitely commanding a fairly high price tag, and is probably the definitive way to play this underrated kind of GTA clone as such. Final little find here, I've never seen this one before, this triple pack of some of the best fighting games on the PS3. So moving from the retro to being bang up today, we're onto the PlayStation 5, and here is a game which I've been tempted to pick up for a while, and now it's only £10, and it is around Halloween at the time of filming this, so I was very tempted to pick it up. But let me know in the comments down below if you have played the Callisto project, I think that's how it's pronounced. Looking through some more of the PlayStation 5 games here, there's some real cheap bangers on here in a minute, like the new Saints Row. I say new because, you know, it's kind of the reboot. Let me know if you've played that one down in the comments below. And I'm starting to wonder if Trek to Yomi, when you find it in here, maybe isn't the collector's edition, maybe it's just a disc like that. That's an absolute bang of a game, and definitely one I want to pick up. I'm slowly building my PlayStation VR collection because there has never been a better time to collect for PlayStation VR because it is so incredibly cheap. When you can pick up games like this for £3, now is a fantastic time to collect for what I believe in the future is going to be a very niche system. Moving on from the PlayStation to the Xbox, and we have a game I've never seen before, Police Simulator Patrol Officer. It does surprise me how some of these games are still so obscure for these really widely available consoles, and it's also surprising how games differ in price so much between. Like Saints Row is £5 more expensive on the Xbox than it is on the PlayStation 5. Finally, in Harlow, I love a good video game tie-in movie, be it good or bad. Silent Hill isn't too bad, but I've never heard of either of these two Street Fighter movie tie-ins, which is kind of making me presume they're probably terrible, but I may be wrong, so let me know down in the comments below. As I say, I love these video game tie-in movies, and I'm always looking to add more to my collection, especially when they're this cheap in CEX. The final store we are visiting this time is Bishops Stortford, and again a first which I've never seen in a window in CEX, plants. Really random, don't know why they have plastic plants here in the window. I kind of like it, I kind of like the aesthetic of having all the electronics and games and a random pot plant, but I digress. There's some pretty good stuff here in the window and some really nice retro inside in the glass cabinet of dreams. Lots of different Switch consoles, a really good selection of Pokemon games, including one of the Pokemon limited edition 2DS consoles, which is really nice. Another Pikachu N64 and another boxed N64 and some more boxed N64 games, and I think they've just taken a delivery of like these Nintendo Game & Watches. They were testing these in the back, so if you're a fan of them, definitely keep an eye on the CEX app. Moving on, we have a pretty good stack of PlayStation 1 games, including a game you really do not see very often hiding here at the bottom, WWF in Your House. It took me a long while to find a copy of this game, and it's a really good wrestling game. So if you're a fan of your wrestling games, definitely check that one out. Some Silent Hill games here, some more kind of retro here, and unfortunately this game was loose. I've been after this one for a long while. If this was boxed, I'd have definitely picked it up. Final finds in the glass cabinet of dreams here, a surprisingly expensive copy of Diablo and a really nice Soul Calibur collector's edition, another really nice pot plant. And moving over here, I cannot believe the price tag of Lego Dimensions. I guess just because it's incredibly hard to find a brand new and sealed version of this game to sell to CEX. Moving on to the PlayStation 3 section, I'm always looking for those missing games from my PlayStation 3 collection, and I'm missing a few of these Ratchet and Clank games, but the description on this game actually put me off. So it's like, it sounds like more of an expansion. I haven't played this one. I might be selling it short, but it just seems like they're selling the game short in the description on the box. Going through some of the retro here, a pretty good selection of OG Xbox games, including one I was very tempted to pick up, Toe Jam and Earl 3, but unfortunately it was missing the manual. Sometimes the manuals are behind the desk, and a really good way to check if they leave the manuals in the game box is just to check another game on the shelf. So let's pick up a nice cheap game here, LA Rush. We'll check and see if this one has the manual. It's just a very, very cheap Xbox game, one I already have in the collection, but checking here, yes, it does have the manual. So unfortunately, Toe Jam and Earl 3 didn't have the manual, so I did pass, which was a bit of a shame. Continuing the Xbox theme with the Xbox One section, and here is a game I've never heard of, Industry Giants 2, and it's not really giving much away, is it? And to be honest, this has me intrigued, so for £2 I'm going to pick it up because I have to know what this game is about. It's a mystery, but I love a good mystery, and for £2, hopefully together we can solve the mystery of what this game is. Personally, I find it really rare to find a good deal on Nintendo Switch games in CEX, but of course there are some exceptions to the rule, and this game, No More Heroes 3, is an absolute bargain in CEX at £12. This is nearly 30 quid on Amazon, and to be able to pick this game up, which is absolutely incredible, for just £12 is an absolute bargain, and I'd grab it while you can. Speaking of bargains, here we have one of the cheapest games that CEX sell, Pacific Warriors 2. I quite enjoy these World War II flight simulator style games, and for 50p, of course, might as well add it to the collection, because what else can you buy for 50p? It did have the manual, and there was also a second copy off the shelf, so even better, I could pick the best copy to add to my collection for the bargain price of 50p. This store had a really good PSP section, and I have got a pretty sizable PSP collection, but I'm always looking to add games to what I believe is one of the most underrated consoles of all time. I did pick up one here, Space Invaders, because this looks a bit like a soft reboot of Space Invaders. Looks like it's 3D, looks really, really intriguing. And here's the thing, if a game even slightly intrigues me, for £3, it's really cheap to add to the collection, and there's so many good exclusive PSP games. We're talking about some of the biggest Sony franchises having exclusive games on such an underrated console, and trust me, just do not sleep on the PSP. It's cheap to collect for. There's plenty of amazing games, much like the Wii U. There's so many good Wii U games, and they're fairly cheap at the moment, but in years to come, I think the prices on Wii U are going to get really, really crazy. So we are nearly done in the crazy world of CX today. There's just one more thing to do before we head back to the games room, and that is, of course, to hit up my local CX here in the heart of Norwich. Here we are then, back in my local CEX in the heart of Norwich. I'm heading straight to the PlayStation 3 section, as that Ratchet & Clank game got me thinking, what are some of the big games that I am missing from my PlayStation 3 collection? Of course, I'm missing the Yakuza games, but unfortunately, both of these weren't really in the best condition. So let's check what other Ratchet & Clank games they have. And here's the thing, I don't really know a lot about this franchise, so I don't know what are the best Ratchet & Clank games to pick up. I have got a few in my collection already, but there is a few gaps to fill. So please let me know in the comments down below what you think is the best Ratchet & Clank game on the PlayStation 3. Finally this time I did pick up a VR game which I've been after for ages. I have this digitally, and it is one of the best VR games I have ever played. Let's take it back to the games room for those pickups, this time on the crazy world of CEX. Here we are then, back in the games room, and unfortunately my budget sadly did not stretch as far that I could add Snatcher to the collection, but I have got some awesome bits to add into my collection, including this absolute bargain for the PlayStation 5 Warhammer 40,000 Blood, Shooters and Teeth. Now, me and my wife have been playing this in couch co-op on the PlayStation 5, and it is absolutely fantastic. You just keep upgrading your guns. It's gory, mindless shooting fun, and for 12 quid in CEX is an absolute bargain, as this game is much more expensive online, so I'd definitely grab this one now while it's cheap. The other game I picked up from St Edmunds was for the Xbox 360, and it amazes me. I have an absolutely massive Xbox 360 collection, but I keep finding games to add to it. Games such as this, Velvet Assassin. Now, sadly, this box is a little bit in rough condition, but I can just replace the box on this nice and easily. And this is a game I've never heard of before, but just judging by the description of this game, it sounds absolutely fantastic. And for 4 quid, it's a cheap banger to add to my 360 collection. Our next games are from Harlow CEX, and I did pick up an OG Xbox game, and I would say this is a bit of a hidden gem, The Terminator Hidden Fate. This is such a good Terminator game, and a game that not a lot of people talk about. Yes, there's been some truly terrible Terminator tie-ins, but this one doesn't really try and recreate the movie or anything. It has its own separate storyline, and it's a decent storyline. I don't want to go too much into spoiler territory, but this one is definitely worth checking out. And at £2, it's an absolute bargain. And another bargain is this game right here, Hustle Kings VR. Because I've said it multiple times, even in this video, VR games are so cheap at the moment. And for £3, it's just a fantastic experience. Even the PlayStation VR hardware at the moment is super cheap. And if you've never tried it, it's not a better time than now to jump into PlayStation VR. In this episode, we saw the third most expensive game that CEX sell that is in stock in this country at the moment, Snatcher for the Mega CD for £525. But there's some absolute bargains to be had in CEX for slightly less money. Games such as this, No More Heroes Free, for just £12. And normally I can't find any good Nintendo Switch games in CEX for a decent price, but this one is an absolute bargain. So if you're looking to pick this one up, like myself, I've been looking to pick this one up for a long while now, grab it now while it's cheap. Some games just intrigue me, and if the price is right, I will pick it up. And for £2, I couldn't resist picking up Industry Giant 2, even though it's one of the first games I've ever seen that on the back has no screenshots. Now, I'm presuming this probably isn't a good thing. This probably means this isn't a very good game, but for £2, it's just got me intrigued. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 50p is the cheapest price that CEX will charge for a game, and I picked this game up, Pacific Warriors 2. It is a complete boxed, good condition PlayStation 2 game for just 50p, and to be honest, is one I probably will play at some point, but really, can you go wrong for 50p? I love collecting for the PSP, and I don't pick up games very often for it because, to be honest, I have a very large collection, have a lot of the core games I'm aiming to add to my collection. But when I saw this game, Space Invaders, it had me intrigued. It looks like kind of a reboot of the original Space Invaders game. I don't know if this is like a 3D shooter. I don't know if this is a bit like Lilac Wars or something. I don't really know a lot about this game, but for £3, I was intrigued, so I picked it up. In this episode, like we do in every single episode, we finished our hunt in my local CEX store here in the fine city of Norwich, and I picked up what is quite possibly my favourite PlayStation VR game of all time, Drunken Bar Fight VR. Now, I own this game digitally, but I wanted to get a physical copy because obviously then I physically own a copy of the game, and my digital copy could be delisted at any time and disappear forever. So I wanted to add a copy of what is one of the funniest games, not just in VR, but in general, I've ever played. This game is absolutely hilarious. I'll put some footage up at the side of the screen here. This is the only VR game that I have played where I have injured myself. I was trying to hit somebody, I think, with a pool cue or a glass bottle in this game, and I accidentally punched the wall in my house. It hurt so much, but me and my wife were in absolute hysterics playing this game. This is one of the funniest gaming moments ever. It is absolutely fantastic, and if you have PlayStation VR, you owe it to yourself to grab Drunken Bar Fight VR. There we have it then, folks. That is another episode of the crazy world of CEX. And regardless of how many CEX stores I visit, something always takes me by surprise. And this time, it was the price of Snatcher CD. To physically see one of the most expensive games that CEX sells is literally crazy. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and who knows, maybe next time I'll be visiting your local CEX here on the crazy world of CEX. See you all soon!